It.
We're gonna do what?
It.
For what number?
The big 169.
Ooh, that is right. Get Valiant 169. We are doing it.
The one.
We're doing it.
69. We're doing it.
Wait, what number is it?
It's the 169.
Hey, you hear it, guys. It is the one.
The one.
69.
69.
69, dude.
Guys, we're teenagers at heart.
I was going to say, we're all adults here, right? Like, we're totally grown-ups.
I'm very immature for my age.
Yeah. I could see Josh in class at Super Bad. Remember what that guy was drawing? You know that. Because it's show number 169.
Big, veiny, triumphant ones,
Dude, good to see you guys, man. Good to see your faces.
Yeah, it's good to see you, too. I'm glad that we're here doing this. As Scott had pointed out, it's been a little while.
It has been.
Just a little bit.
If the books would just come out faster or the news would come out faster, we'd be here for you people. Jeez.
If somebody should pass that message along. Give us more books, we'll do more episodes. How about that? Oh, no. The books are coming out as they're coming out.
Well, there's news, and
COVID's
hopefully
fault. That
is the build-up to try to make more books.
So, brand new news. Let's start with the brand new news.
The new news?
The new news.
Let's do the new news.
The new news
on episode 169.
The new news is we've got a third senior editor at Valiant now.
Number
third,
3.
what's the charm?
Big 3.
The big number 3. So, I guess the first question is, like, what are your guys' thoughts on having a third senior editor? Like, we've got Lisa, we've got Heather.
And now we have David Wohl.
In the past, one of the things that was, one of the things that I loved about Valiant in the past, and I'm not saying things can't change because sometimes different things are good, but one of the things I loved about Valiant in the past was the kind of unified vision, and I feel like right now there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
It's hard to judge it right now, I think, when we don't have a lot of books coming out, and I think if things get back to normal, if we get to a point where like there's 6 or 7 books coming out, I feel like there's a lot of good potential here though, because David's a veteran. He's been in the comic book industry for about 30 years, and he's just got, he knows it. He's probably had like every position in the industry at this point. So good for him to get the job, congrats to him. I'm not super familiar with his work though. I just didn't read the books that he was working on really. But I don't know. I don't see how it would hurt right now, especially if it can just get things back up and running, back to a more normal thing for all the readers. Because right now we're doing like 2 books a month. I was looking at the solicitations today. I didn't even pay any attention when they came out last week. And there's 2 books in a trade paperback. And I don't know how much longer the industry, I know everybody's doing it. I know everybody's cutting back a lot right now. But I just think like if another person stepping in can help get books to where they need to be, they don't all have to cross over. But they have to be good. They have to be entertaining. Hopefully that's what this step is. This step, bring in David Wohl, helps get, a few more titles out a little bit better, a little bit faster. And maybe he's a guy who can bring in talent too.
That's kind of like my big thing that I'm excited for with the new editor is what new talent they can bring in. What relationships do they have? He's got history with DC, big within Top Cow. I'm not all that much of a fan of Top Cow. I think it's not my cup of tea of what Image, that area has produced, Aphrodite, things like that. Do like that he was co-creator of Witchblade. That was good. So there's some cool things there, but I'm also on board with you, Eric. You basically have, 3 chefs in the kitchen, but who's doing what and who's the one that's willing to tell the other one, I don't like the taste of that, or I'm not sure that this is the right encore, the entree for the night, and that was kind of like that direction, right? To have it pushed together. I mean, so I guess this on their teamwork, on their communication, on their shared vision. I think it's a unique spot for them. It's a unique spot for a shared universe to not have that basically creative director or one vision. I mean, is that Fred Pierce right now? Is that, who is it? Matthew Klein? Is it, I don't know. Is it Greg? I mean, I just, it's interesting to see that there's 3 different leads in there and who gets what, how are they getting what? Is it all kumbaya or, that, I guess that's the part that kind of worries me more than anything, but yeah, to get books out is important right now. I mean, right now, what it was 2 books that they produced last month, and to help comic book shops, you need to help them sell more than 2 books a month. You need to produce a little bit more to hopefully get those Valiant fans. And a lot of the people I've talked to at many shops, they will tell you the Valiant fans say, "Give me everything Valiant," and they say that's kind of just the direction that Valiant fans have been for them for a long time. And a lot of times when I go traveling shops, they don't have a whole lot of Valiant. And I'll ask them, "Why don't you have Valiant?" Like, "Well, we got about 5 guys that pull, and they pull everything, but that's about all we get." You know what I mean? And so there's that degree where there's those books that could, maybe sell more if there was more out there. I understand why a publisher wouldn't want to get some out there because there might not be as many extras ordered, only pull list ordered books. But that's why it's important to make sure you get your pull list in there, right? That's why that's the biggest thing, is make sure you get that pre-order. It makes so much sense for everybody, for the publisher, for yourself to make sure you got the book, and for that shop to know what they need to order. And if they see lots of pre-orders, maybe they'll carry more on the shelf. So that's kind of the direction with that. But I wish there was more. It's hard to push a publisher that their shared universe is only going to give you 2 books when you're trying to sell more. They may not push it as much to somebody looking for things when, if they push somebody who on Valiant and they follow Valiant, they're only going to sell 2-3 books a month.
So 2 things I want to say. Number 1, I know that I made the kind of, too many cooks in the kitchen reference as far as having, 3 senior editors. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I don't want to be a naysayer or, act like the sky's falling because they hired a new editor. But, the 2 thoughts that I had when I saw that announcement were that, not necessarily in this order, but that, where's the guidance and where's the driving force? Who's going to be, is it going to be Lisa? Is it going to be Heather? Or is it going to be the new guy, who's obviously not a new guy to comics, but a new guy to Valiant? But which one of them is going to drive the ship, and which of them is going to take a back seat? Or are we going to have 3 people moving in 3 completely different directions with the, when we hopefully get back to 6, 7, 8 books? The other thing, but the other thought that I had immediately was, this is going to bring new talent. We talked to Dan Abnett, and we have all been such huge fans of the Rye book, and he specifically told us that he came because he was approached by an editor at Valiant that he had worked with in the past, and that's what started his relationship working for Valiant, and that's how he, got his foot in the door and began writing what has been, I would say, pretty much hands down the best Valiant book for as long as it's been running. Rye is simply phenomenal as a comic book. But the other thing that I want to mention is, I get totally where you're coming from, Hoosier, as far as, we want to see more books on the shelves, and we hear feedback from people and from stores that seem to indicate to us that stores want more comics from Valiant, or people want more and will buy more. But what we've got to keep in mind is, I'm pretty sure Valiant has one of the largest sales forces in the comic industry as far as a company. That's something that's been talked about a lot in the past, is the size of Valiant's sales team relative to the size of their creative pool. And they spend an enormous amount of time on the phone with comic shops. So I've got to believe that this plan, and I know that in our interview, in interviews we've done in the past, we've been told as well that this plan, this idea of how we're going to move forward, or how the company is going to move forward, not us, we're not doing it, but how the company is going to move forward is really based on the feedback that they've gotten back, from different comic shops. They're not just saying, what I think would be cool if we only did 2 books a month. They're saying, what have we learned from talking to comic book shops, and what do we really think is feasible? So I do think that as much as I would love to be right back at 6 books a month, 8 books a month, 12 books a month, I got to believe that if we're only getting 2 books a month, there's a good reason for it. And I'm really happy that when we're getting 2 books a month, it's the best 2 possible books that could be coming out. We finished out Quantum and Woody. We're going to be finishing out Dr. Tomorrow. And the best 2 ongoings that Valiant has, in my opinion, are Rye and Bloodshot. And those are the books that we know we're going to be getting. And so this is a great way to make sure that the quality content is still out there. People are still engaging with Valiant as fans. And hopefully when the new books start coming, people will still be willing to pick up, the next book that comes out whether that's Exo Manowar that starts back up, or when Shadow Man comes, Savage, Final Witness, when Visitor finishes. Yeah.
I think what's really hard about it, though, is that we know there's so many books that the company wants to put out, and then we're only getting 2, because we know that we're going to get Savage, Shadow Man, Ninjak, Harbinger. We're going to get Final Witness. And then who knows what else is even out there? Who knows what else they're talking about?
Archer and Armstrong's been there.
There was a lot of maybe Faith's coming back. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. And it's just like we know they only put out 1 new book a month, or at least in the past, we've gotten 1 new release. So I think, for me, there's a lot of anticipation of what's going to come out eventually. I just hope we can get there sooner rather than later, because everything looks pretty good, so far. We can talk about a little bit of it, but
speaking later than sooner, you did say Ninjak, and that was advertised as 2021 already.
Yeah.
Which makes sense if we're getting solicits toward the end of the year and we know that there are only going to be 2 books a month for a little while yet. It makes sense that Ninjak wouldn't come out until next year. Right. Do we jump into the Ninjak stuff? Are we ready to do that?
Yeah, we can talk about it. My last thing on it is I wish the best of luck to David Wohl. He's
yes,
absolutely.
Hopefully, the impact he makes is a good one. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
No, I hope it's horrible.
I hope he sinks the ship. No. We can't even say stuff like that jokingly. That's horrible. Okay. So, Greg is in the chat. There's going to be news fairly soon about Exo's return.
What?
Oh, that is interesting to hear. What that makes me think, and obviously he can't say any more than that, which is totally understandable. What that makes me think is that he's going to be in the next solicit.
I'll take some Exo Manowar. But that's good news that there's stuff coming. So
speaking of things coming out, we did get an announcement of Ninjak. We got an announcement of the creative team, and we've seen some art. So here's my take on it, and I'll let you guys go. We don't know a lot about the story yet. We know all we've seen is some black and white line art, right? And my feeling on this, something that I've said in the past, is not every book is for me, and that's okay. I don't think every book
should be for you, Eric. That's your type of dude.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I feel like in the past, Ninjak always has been my kind of book. But now it looks like, and I don't know this for sure, I have to read the story to find out, and I'm more than willing to read the story and find out whether I'm right or wrong. But it looks like, based on the art that we've seen so far, that Ninjak isn't going to be for the action fan, the
We
gritty.
don't know that. We don't know that.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. We don't know that. I'm just saying, based on the small amount of information that we have right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be for the gritty, dark, bloody, action fan in me, like Ninjak always has been. But at the same time, like, that's okay, right? We're already going to be getting Bloodshot. I know Bloodshot is going to be on the stands when Ninjak comes out, or at least I really, really fucking hope that he's still on the stands when Ninjak comes out. But we know that we're getting Bloodshot, so that I'm taken care of, right? Like, Valiant has already checked that box, So if Ninjak doesn't check that box, I can understand, and I'm okay with that. Am I slightly disappointed by the fact that it's not going to be marketed directly at me? Yeah, maybe a little bit, because I've loved Ninjak so much so far. But there's no reason why this can't be a great book that other people will enjoy maybe more than I will.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, like, I like Jeff Parker's going to be the one who's writing it. And Jeff Parker's, he's done, like, some James Bond work and some things like that. Writing-wise, I'm really excited for it. Okay, I feel like I know what I'm going to get. I've liked a lot of his work. The artist, Javier Pulido, I believe. Man, I mean, talk about, like, divisive with, like, the fan base, because a lot of people are just like, oh, the book's going to be terrible. Or, they're just writing it off right before anything happens, and I get it, because if you look at, like, what the past with Valiant, the books have had a certain visual aesthetic, they're really gritty detail. I feel like, especially during, like, the Dinesh era, Dinesh even said, like, they did everything they could to bring in, like, top-notch art. And you can feel like you want to feel about the last 2 years however you want. I still think there's a lot of good art there. But I think that Javier Pulido does have a certain style to it. Now, whether it's going to translate very well to action sequences within Ninjak, I don't know. But, I mean, like, at first, like, I know, like, for myself even, like, when I first saw the pages, when I saw them through Twitter, I was like, wow, I don't know how I feel about this, because it's just not the kind of art I would envision on a Ninjak book. But I like a lot of art that looks similar to that. I was thinking about how, like, right after I saw those pages, I thought, man, I really love Eduardo Rizzo, the art on 100 Bullets. And I think he's a master artist. So, like, if you can give me that, if you can make me feel like that, and I'm not saying they're the same type of artist, but, like, they definitely have their own styles. And I think that in Rizzo's style, there's action. So a lot of it's going to depend on what the stories are encompassing. But I do agree with a lot of people. Like, it's a little bit jarring to see, like, some of the stuff that we've had where, like, Ninjak, when it first launched under VEI, they had Clay Mann art. And then when it relaunched again, it was Tomas Giorello. So, I mean, when you look at how those books have launched, those artists are very, very detailed. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, while that might not be Pulido's exact wheelhouse, I do think his pages do show a little bit of kinetic energy to them. There's a lot of cool stuff flowing through those pages. We'll see, no matter what we're reading them. Because we're gonna, so even if it's not for you, even if it's not for you, you're still gonna have to read them and critique them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna buy the books, right? Like, I'm buying Ninjak when it comes out. Like, that's not in question here.
I will say one last thing real quick before I turn it over to Hoosier is that I know, like, it was a really weird thing the day that news broke, where in the Valiant groups people were just like, oh, this art looks terrible. But then, like, in a lot of comic book groups outside where people don't necessarily read Valiant, they were all like, oh my God, like, the Pulido's doing a Valiant book. That's amazing. Like, I would check that out. So maybe this is one of those things where it's the kind of artist that can bring readers in because they like that style. I don't know necessarily, but I did think that was really interesting where our side of things was like, not great, or we have questions about it. But outside this circle, outside our bubble, people were a lot more open-minded.
Yeah. I guess it was just that first image that really got me, and just that great figure that Ninjak has in that image in the silhouette.
that beautiful womanly figure.
Yeah, and it looks like it just
Since
hit
he's been
flat.
hiding, he's been slimming down to help her.
He's been working his squats.
He's been
his hip
squatting.
thrusts.
So I mean, initially that threw me for the first bit, but seeing who had shared the tweet when there was the countdown in Valiant, I saw Jeff Parker share that, and Jeff Parker, what he did with 007 Origins was awesome. And I felt like that was a great transition for him to come from 007 Origins over into over into Ninjak. I felt like that was an amazing fit to have somebody who's kind of in that style, right? When people ask about Ninjak, I usually give them the 007 meets Bruce Lee meets Batman, meets the baddest ninja you've ever seen that works for MI6. And so I feel like that's a good connection there. So I liked that. The art, I probably didn't say the greatest things about it at first. I was just didn't really like the art I saw. And it just didn't feel a lot like, just basically echoing a lot of what you guys said. And then, to me, it reminded me of a Teen Titans, something you would see on a Teen Titans book. But then I start thinking about what I like, right? And some of the art that I like, that's not necessarily Valiant, because it's just, this is different for Valiant, this art style. And it reminded me a little bit of what I think you would see like Wes Craig's art would be without colors. And I love Deadly Class. That's a great book. And it really gets into the story. So it's going to have to be the story, or I'm just going to really not like it either way. So it's got to have the top story to go with that art. That's not my cup of tea, but could be good when it's done right with the right story, the right storytelling, the right colors on it. It could work. With that being said, but that's just where I'm at with those two, on seeing that. And then the other piece is we're getting that cartoonish style art coming up with Savage from the little preview page we got of the Harbinger. Seemed like it was pretty cartoony. And then we got, I mean, you can beg to say that that's kind of what EXO was. I like the art. No, never mind. EXO's pretty good right now. The art is amazing on that. But it just seems like that's what we're getting. I mean, clearly that's what we're getting with Dr. Tomorrow right now, is just that more cartoony looking art. And it seems like it's happening a little bit more than what we have seen in the past, more frequent. And that's kind of what I'm not liking. I know Savage is going to have the cartoony art, but not so much Shadow Man. So it I don't know. It just has me leaning, like I'm wishful thinking. But those are my kind of reservations that I have.
Totally understandable. I don't think you're being unreasonable at all. My take on the art is that, Valiant has always separated itself from what I would think of as a traditional comic book style. And I think that's what they're leaning a little more heavily into now. I would say that what we've seen from Ninjak looks the most cartoony, whereas Savage is less so, but slightly on the cartoony side. But I wouldn't really I wouldn't really consider Dr. Tomorrow to be cartoony art, because it's just straight up comic book art to me. Like, I don't know. I mean,
like a little bit more
neither one of us is. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that I think that you're necessarily wrong, Hoosier. I just think we have different. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I'm just disagreeing.
We're getting very far away from the Louis LaRosas, the Miko Swayans,
right?
Yes,
and it's sad because I mean, we're gonna be reading the books those guys are doing too. They just packed up and went across town, so to say.
But we did get to see some Doug Braithwaite this week too, though.
We did.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a little bit here. One thing I don't want to gloss over: Greg was kind enough to copy over a quote of from Lisa talking about Ninjak in a new interview, saying that Ninjak is like James Bond and Modesty Blaze having a child. He's a globetrotting thriller with a 60s-esque mod vibe. Ninjak proves he's still the man for the mission, even as the world works against him. Now, Right. So yeah, you got that up there. So I get that. It's the 60s-esque mod vibe where you lose me. I'm down 100% with the rest of it. And again, I'm going to read the book and give it a chance, and we will give an honest review when the book comes out and where we're able to talk about it and actually know what we're getting. Because right now, I mean, we've seen black and white versions of like, maybe 4 pages, 5 pages at most. That is really hard to know what we're really going to get from the book just from that little bit of information. Everything I've read, because I've read interviews with the writer, Jeff Parker, and it sounds like he knows what he's doing, right? Like, it sounds like he's got a really good handle on Ninjak as a character, and he seems to be really excited working with Javier. So I trust Lisa.
But what would he say? He sucks. Don't buy the book.
No,
I mean, come on.
He's like, look, the guy is not my first choice.
Right?
He wasn't
Yeah.
my second.
I wanted 5 other guys. This is who they gave me. No.
But they were just like, hey, this guy's available. You can just have him. It's like, fine. Just
hey, we're paying you to write a book. Great. We pick the artist.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always think with everything, I think, like, it's so hard being a fan sometimes where, like, if you're just, like, a fan of comics in general, it's so easy to be like, well, I don't like 10 books from Marvel because there's 50 others I like. If you're just, like, a Valiant fan and you mostly just read Valiant, and there are fans that mostly just read Valiant, it's hard when you get that one book and you're like, I'm finally waiting for Ninja to come back. And both pieces don't line up for you. And I get that. I totally get that. And, I mean, like, right now, I mostly read Valiants now. Valiant and IDW are like my wheelhouse, and it's just I know it's hard.
Is that one of the sad things about having the book put on the shelf, or I say put on the shelf, put away for a little while and bring it back out? That when there's something that maybe not that's not there, your anticipation is so high, and what you're looking for when you get your character back. Do you think that plays against it sometimes?
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
but I think that's our problem, though, right? Like, and I don't mean like us as us three specifically. I just mean as fans in general. Yeah. It's not Valiant's job to make a Ninjak book that is perfect for every single person who might pick it up and give it a shot. It's their job. Yeah, there's no way that is a completely untouchable target. So they can't even try to shoot for that because it's unrealistic. What they can shoot for is saying, how do we make a Ninjak book that we think is high quality and we hope more people will enjoy than not enjoy? That's all you can really try to do. And the fact that, like Josh pointed out earlier, there are people in non-Valiant fan groups who are saying, wow, this looks amazing. I've never read Valiant before, but I'm going to check this out. And I saw a lot of those comments, whether it was on Twitter, on Facebook. I saw a lot of comments of people that were just absolutely stoked about this creative team. So, okay.
Do you know which one, which creative team would have sold the most, though?
Uh-oh.
Tom King and Jim Lee. Come on.
Yeah, if you want the book to never actually come out because the art is delayed by 12 years.
God, would I love to see him on that. No, I hear what you guys are saying. And again, let's see it. It's just early. There's still preview pages to come out that are a little bit more done. Color can make a lot of it. And, again, we're getting Colin King back. So hopefully, the right story, the right connection. I think and it's a ways to go too. I mean, we still got at least, 5 more months of this hellhole year to go to the next one. And, let's hope that a lot of things changes, but I mean, that's great to look that far ahead. But can I say I'm excited for Shadow Man to come in the near future as well. So,
yeah, I cannot wait for Shadow Man. The books that I'm most excited for as far as the new stuff coming are definitely Shadow Man, and I'm really, really, really curious to see what Harbinger ends up being.
I was going to say, like, sorry to cut you off. It was on my mind, but like Final Witness, like the art on that, Jeremy Hahn, like it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
he's a little bit more on the detailed side versus the cartoon.
That's another book to remember that, yeah, that art style is what we are kind of looking for. Like, I think the three of us are kind of on the same page. Right. And that art style, along with what we've gotten from Exo Manowar so far, that art style, I think, is right in our wheelhouse. Yeah. So there is definitely some good stuff. And, we've said, or at least I've said countless times in the past, that not every book needs to be for me. And if there's an Ninjak book that isn't for me, I can live with that. I can still, if I really need that, hyper detailed Ninjak stuff, there's nothing stopping me from going back and rereading the Kint run, the Christos Gage run. There's all that stuff that's still out there. And I probably could use a reread a lot of that stuff anyway. So there's no reason why I can't still enjoy the stuff that's come out and let new fans enjoy the new series that's coming.
And you don't have to always enjoy the art. I mean, I can think of books I love reading. I don't love the art all the time. There have been times in Ninjak, times in Harbinger where I didn't love what I was looking at, but I loved the story I was reading.
Dude, think about, what I always think about when I see art that I'm not super stoked on is Batman The Long Halloween. I cannot stand Tim Sale's artwork.
Really? Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
He's one of those guys where, like, if you let him do page layouts and then had someone else do the actual art, it would be unfucking believable. That would be untouchable. But unfortunately, he does the layouts and he finishes the pages, and it just does not work for me. But The Long Halloween is one of the greatest Batman stories ever published, in my opinion. So, like, the fact of the matter is, like, you can have an amazing, amazing story told with art from not your favorite artist ever to have put pencil to paper. So that's a long-winded way of saying that maybe this new Ninjak art didn't grab me as much as it grabbed some other people, but there's still a lot of potential for the book to be really good.
Yep. And you did like The Fist and the Steel, right?
Loved it. That was my favorite.
So, yeah, it's not always what it, yeah.
Anyway, we should probably move on.
Yeah. Let's spoil other crap.
Yes.
Spoil it all the way down.
So should we do the free comic book day issue?
Yes.
Free comic book day, the one with Vin Diesel on the cover. Go to your comic shops, pick it up, spend some more money.
For free,
and spend money. But yeah.
And then, buy some other stuff because you didn't have to buy the free comic book day issue or free comic book month, which is really hard. I'm never going to get used to saying free comic book month. So, I just couldn't do it. I can't. My brain doesn't even. It's free comic book day. I know it's happening over a month.
Spoilers.
It's free comic book day.
Spoilers, Todd. Cover your ears. So, I mean, he walked away, so let's not talk story, but let's talk about that advertisement at the back. So, do you remember seeing that? Do I need to say what it said? But it looks like we're getting another Divinity.
It looks like Solar, and so many people have mentioned it looks like Solar. Which makes me think of Divinity, right? Like, Divinity is currently the Solar analog, right? Like, because we don't have Solar in this universe. But yeah, it looks like, I would guess that ad is leading us toward Divinity. Because what does it say? It says the universe is not absolute.
Right. Yeah, it does look like Solar, and then that mention was on what was it? Unity with Solar back in the day.
Yeah. But who knows what it's going to mean? I mean, like, I saw so much speculation about that little teaser image, and it could be just, it's not going to be the return of Solar. No way.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's some more Divinity coming around because it used the colors, used that same Eternity colors, that purples and blues, that was very similar to what Eternity had.
Could just be a big event, getting all the characters together too. That's what my money's on. My money's on big event, get all the characters under, one title for some kind of fun activity of sorts. Or they fight some bad guys.
Ongoing of Dr. Tomorrow.
Maybe it bleeds out of that.
Yep.
Oh, if it was a sequel to Dr. Tomorrow, I would be ridiculously stoked. The other thing that I thought of was that it could be an event.
Hey,
And
I think this guy right here that says I've heard this phrase before might have been somebody who helped create it on the Facebook side. So, yeah,
Facebook user?
Yeah, who's Mr. Van Hook. So I think he would know.
Yeah. Kevin Van Hook knows a thing or two about the universe not being absolute.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. But that ad was cool. Can we talk about the stories?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, the first story in the book, if I'm remembering correctly, because it's been like a week since I read it, was the Bloodshot story, which was relatively short.
Right.
But it featured the first appearance of both Wiggins and KT in the comic book world, which was really cool to see. But I think my biggest complaint about that story was I wish it was longer. It felt like it was too little. You know, I don't know. I love Tim Seeley writing Bloodshot, and I think that was a really cool, like, whoa, like he found a whole bunch of ex-chainsaw people in vats, and then, well, he just blows them up and let's move on to the Exo story. That was disappointing. Like, to me, I wanted a 22-page, epic story about it. I didn't want, a 6-page, whatever it was.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't know if it had to necessarily be a lot bigger. Like, I mean, because I understood what was going to be following it, but I actually kind of thought, they would do a little bit more page count for a Bloodshot story. And then just to real quickly talk about the Exo story, I didn't know the story was going to be so big. But yeah, I mean, it was cool how they introduced the characters into the Valiant universe. I liked the characters so much in the movie, especially Wiggins. He was awesome in the movie. The Bloodshot movie, for those who weren't paying attention. So it's cool to have them in it. I don't think you can necessarily keep them out. I mean, if you don't like them, that's fine. But I'm one of those people who I was okay with it. Bring them into the universe. Bloodshot needs a cast of sorts. He doesn't really always have one. We don't know what's going on with his family. They're just gone. They're in limbo somewhere. So if we can have another couple people that can stay with him, I'm cool with it. I'm as long as they're handled better. I do wish the art was a little bit better on that story, but that's me.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. In the chat, they asked if it looked like the actors. It was similar. They went from a similar look for KT and Wiggins. There was only like one image of KT, but she still had the respirator and the tattoos. Wiggins just in a cafe. It is cool to have it kind of tie into one another. I mean, I think that's a little bit of hopefully gathering some of the fans that may have came from the movie and over and into to the books, and especially on Free Comic Book Day. Hopefully there's some people that saw Vin Diesel on the cover, picked that up, got in the first couple pages, and they saw some similar characters. I really think that was a tie to get in new readers. It necessarily wasn't for all of us. But it is great for those that enjoyed the movie and enjoyed those characters a lot. Wiggins was a great character and a good piece. It's kind of weird to have an IT guy in there helping the guy who has the built-in computers all through his head anyway. But he's a good character, good comedy relief. And it did say, see the return in Bloodshot number 10, like Greg just posted, basically leading into it that there's possibly, hopefully, going to be more as he moves away from the Bard and the Burnt and just all these groups that he's been kind of, I don't know if the Black Bar and the Burnt, kind of connecting with them. And that's coming in number 10 to have more of that. And if you came from the movie, you might have been thrown off by Bloodshot has hair in this issue, in this little segment that we get here. And, Wiggins is Wiggins. It rocked and rolled. And, art was fair. It's what it wasn't bad, but,
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't Brett Booth.
Yeah.
Or who's the guy doing it right now?
Mark Laming.
Yeah.
Mark Laming. Yeah. Yeah. He's doing a phenomenal job. And Brett Booth obviously is an absolutely amazing artist. I was super, super bummed when we found out we were gonna get some issues that didn't have Brett Booth, and they turned out to be amazing, right? Like Mark Laming is a great, great artist for Bloodshot. I think he really nails it. So I can't wait to get back into. We're getting the Bloodshot Fully Loaded #7, and then we're gonna get into Bloodshot 8 and beyond, and I'm really stoked for that. But yeah, to get into the Exo story, it was a Joshua Dysart story that Josh said on Twitter he had written quite some time ago. Doug Braithwaite, if I'm not mistaken, did the art for it, and it was a really good. Like, you could tell that it was a Dysart story. It had the heart that you would want from a Dysart story.
Yeah, so the story featured a lot of young Auric, kind of wandering through the woods on his own little adventure, while at the same time, adult Auric is in space in the vine ring that circles the Earth, dealing with his own threat in there. And my first takeaway from it when I was done reading it was that it felt like the perfect kind of story to follow a Robert Venditti run, because there's a lot of that human element of like child Auric, but then like the good action, like that you would expect from Exo Manowar, like when he's got the suit and what he's capable of doing with it. And I feel like feel what you want about Kent's run. And I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. But it just makes me so sad that we won't ever have like a Josh Dysart run on Exo, because it just seems like he totally nailed the character. And I don't know what his own passions are towards the character, but he just seemed like he got it. Mm-hmm. Like really, like it really seemed like it worked, especially in the confines of a single issue, where normally, like when we've read Harbinger and Imperium, those story arcs, they've been like 3 to 4 issue storylines. They're written more for the trade. This was just like written as a single issue, but it was just such a good, really, really good, well-written single issue.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, echoing what you guys said, you know what I mean? Dysart, it's what could have been type of thing on an Exo book, which I think would have been fantastic. And seeing what he did with a character like that was really cool. And it did give you that little bit to see what could, like I said, what could have been. Why was this put in here? Because does it lead into any of the story that we're going to be getting with Hopeless, with Dennis Holloman? That had issue #1 only so far. We're going to get some Exo news soon, according to Greg. And that's kind of more along the lines of what we're looking for. I think this was just a little standalone one story Exo, but I don't know. I think Free Comic Book Day, I think of how do you get to have somebody read this book for the first time and hopefully, get them into wanting to read more and have them what to expect for future books.
I get what you're saying. It wasn't like a direct lead in to the Dennis Hallam run. But I think that if you read that and you say, wow, this is a really cool character,
right?
How can I get more? Buy the trade paperbacks, buy the Venditti run in trade paperback, buy the Kent run in trade paperback. It's not going to be exactly what you got from Dysart, but it's going to be awesome, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I may not love the Kent run as much as some do, but it's still some pretty badass comic book work, mm-hmm. And there's some amazing art all the way through that run. So, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff there. So even if people just go pick up the trades and get into the character, I think that's a win. And maybe, who knows, when Exo comes back, they'll get into him as a character and want to read the new series that's coming out.
Yeah, I don't recall who colored Braithwaite's art on the Free Comic Book Day issue, but his art looked phenomenal.
Diego Rodriguez.
Yeah, just as good as it ever looks. He's such a solid penciler. He's so underrated, I think, as far as Valiant pencilers go, because I think we always talk about the guys that we like so much, Juan Jose Reep or Brett Booth, Bloodshot. We love Luis Rosa, but I think like we don't talk enough about how good Doug Braithwaite is, and he just does such solid work all the time. And I think when he's got the right colorist, his work just absolutely shines. And I think that's
and
what's here.
for years with Valiant too, with Braithwaite. I mean, he was doing a lot during the claim. I mean, he's the creator, co-creator of Dr. Tomorrow. So yeah, Braithwaite's been around it for a while. I mean, we're talking Stormbreaker that he was there. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So how do we rate the Free Comic Book Day issue? I think that's really hard to do.
We can do by story if you want.
So for me, the Bloodshot story is a little bit lacking in the art department, and it's a little bit as far as the pencil and inking, and it was a little bit shorter than I wanted it to be, but it was still really good. So I would give the Bloodshot story a 3.75, and then the Exo arc, the Exo story in it, the one shot that we got was, I mean, it was so good. It was just such great Exo Manowar storytelling. That to me was a 4.5.
Man,
I'm a little off on my scores compared to yours. I'd probably go about. I'm probably going to go about a 3 on the Bloodshot story, just because I didn't like the art. It's a little short for me too. Right. You know, I'm glad that they're introducing these characters. You know, I just want a little bit more. I also think that we're doing a lot better art than that. You know, at Valiant. So I'm going to do a 3 on that one. I'm going to go a 5 on the Exo story. I mean, Dysart nails the character. Everything I like in an Exo Manowar story is there. I mean, there's great art. There's great use of Sean O'Hara. Exo's got a threat that's so powerful, but he finds a way to overcome it. And then, just like in a Venditti story, we get those great human moments. You know, you see how he was as a kid, and he's reflecting upon his father, you know, who's led him to so many things. And I just thought, like, damn, like, you know, you could argue that one is like one of the best single issue Exo stories written. So, high scores on that one. Everything was good. I'm excited for all the little teaser images and the books that will hopefully come out in the coming years. So,
all right. Well, and then we also got, I think Todd's got the same score as you, 3 and a 5.
Great minds are thinking alike here.
All right. You know. Well, you know, it's hard to please the two of you. I mean, it is. It's really hard to please the two of you. So I'm Exo Manowar 5, right? Everything you guys said. Art, great story, Joshua Dysart, beautiful. And then Bloodshot, a 5. It was free. Jeez, what's wrong with you guys? You guys are complaining over a free book. Jeez, I thank you, Valiant. Thank you guys. You guys rock. Those are great stories. Got to see the characters I like, and I didn't pay $1 for it. Thank you. Didn't pay a penny. And you guys are freaking 3. God.
Well, I had to buy a book to get a free book. It was like that. Okay.
Oh, God. Well, tell those guys over there, you know, the nerd store, they need to, you know, quit taking all your dollars. I mean, like taking candy from a baby.
Step up their game.
Yeah.
No, they were good stories, guys. And so, like, no, all joking aside, everything you guys said is accurate and true. But for a free book, I think we got some damn good quality.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
The one thing that I will say, you know, my knock on the Bloodshot story being that it was too short and it left me wanting more. I think that's kind of the goal, right? Like, you want to leave the fans wanting more with a free book so that they will come back for the great, you know, the ongoing series. You know, if you've read the Free Comic Book Day book, Free Comic Book Day issue, I don't know how to talk. If you've read that and you thought that Bloodshot story was cool, but you wanted more, and you just felt like it wasn't enough, kind of like me, go read the current Bloodshot run by Tim Seeley. I mean, there's some amazing, amazing Bloodshot work out there, but read the current book, because that's the writer that you got in the Free Comic Book Day issue. And he's doing some amazing stuff right now with the Brett Booth issues. You know, Mark is doing an amazing job on the art right now. Yeah, so I definitely recommend going and picking it up. It was free.
Right.
Good job.
And then and Josh mentioned the teaser images. I think the only other thing we talked a little bit about the everything's not absolute, the world's not absolute one that we had. But then there was also the Year of the Heroes, and the new thing that on there was the Harbinger image.
Yeah.
And again, it looked a little cartoony like this Ninjak. And so that was my, again, my reservations on that too. It's only one little image, the back of somebody's back with the Harbinger bird on it. That's all it really is, but that's it.
It reminded me of Dr. Mirage art. That's what it made me think of when I first saw it. Was not this new Ninjak stuff. It made me think of Dr. Mirage.
I think the guy's art who did the last Dr. Mirage. I liked that. Nicholas
Yeah,
Robles. Yeah.
Especially who did the colors on that? Was that
Jordy Belair?
Jordy.
It was
Jordy.
Jordy. Yeah, those colors were just bonkers. And it looks like we're going to be getting something, equally out there with the Harbinger stuff. I mean, the little bit of art that we've seen so far looks like it's colored pretty flamboyantly. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So, Dr. Tomorrow number 4.
Dr. Tomorrow number 4, you guys. I cannot
Spoiling
keep this in. I just got to say right away, I fucking love this book. I love this comic book. Give me more Alejandro Arbona. I've talked about how much I would love to see Dan Abnett do some more work at Valiant. His Rye is so good. I'd love to see him take on another character, whether that be, like a Galadan Tama book or, he could do a lot of characters, trust me. We need more Alejandro.
Right.
His work on Dr. Tomorrow is just phenomenal. Just so good. This issue went in a direction I completely did not see coming at all. And it sold me. I'm so, as if I wasn't already sold on this book. I was, spoiler. But this issue it made me even more of a fan of this book than I already was, and I didn't know that was possible.
I thought it was a really interesting issue. It certainly lacked the action that we've had with the other issues, but it has such a really cool little thing where the younger Bart is kind of looking for a little bit of guidance about how to tackle this, Hadrian, other evil Dr. Tomorrow kind of thing. And the issue was just not at all what I expected. It really seemed really original, with where it's going in like this part of the book. Art was still great, but it kind of, now I understand why there's another Dr. Tomorrow introduced into the story. So it's just really cool, man. It's just really, that's like my takeaway from it. There's not a whole lot to really talk about because there's not a lot of action, but this would be the big build-up human moment, and so in the next issue they can save the world or whatever that's going to happen. My whole takeaway from this, I just thought it was just really original with where it went, with where Dr. Tomorrow as a character is going. Good stuff.
Yes, I agree. Rest in peace, Hadrian. But I guess, said it wasn't predictable. I figured in like number 1, we were going to see more of Gretchen, the little friend, the science friend. And you know what I mean? So it was one of those times where I'm like, okay, what's next for her? They kind of had them two connected and, supporting one another in issue number 1. And so I did expect, I don't know, I didn't expect where or how, but I was, turns out that she's Neela. Does it turn out that she's something? Who, I don't know. I just felt like we were going to see his friend Gretchen later. This was the kind of like the slow part of the story before we get to the last final action, and kind of hit the climax of number 5. I think it's going to start heavy, and then to wrap up this origin pretty much of Dr. Tomorrow. I do like how this issue went with him going to a kind of to a degree a future Gretchen, his future best friend, who kind of raised him. I thought that was a cool concept, and teaching him, and he learned, and he got smart, and he got scienced, he got educated,
True.
And it leaves that cool piece, that era, open for, you see him wearing the Dr. Tomorrow suit during that. You see him studying science during that. There's a great area for story right there of this young Dr. Tomorrow. What did he do when he was right there? What did he learn? And, to me, almost reminds me of an animated series of this piece, this connection, and becoming, your best friends now raising you that you grew up with, who's, a genius with, bunch of books. And it was cool. It was a great story. And it really introduced, his friend Gretchen a lot more and what she is to become. And then it had him right back in the mix of dealing with, I guess, present world's evil Dr. Tomorrow and get into battle with it. So, yeah.
This issue was so fun, heartfelt, gave me the warm and fuzzies. It was such a good book. It's so well written. There's humor in it. There's everything. There's not a ton of action. I think that Josh is definitely right there. But I didn't find myself reading it going, oh man, I wish that somebody would punch somebody. I read it going, okay, what's going to happen next? I need to turn the page. Yeah, this is a phenomenal book. I know I didn't give you guys both gave Exo Manowar far higher scores than I did from the Free Comic Book Day issue. For me, this is a 5. This to me is hitting the nail on the head, knocking the ball out of the park. Absolutely 100%. I could not have asked for a better issue from this.
Yeah, I'm kind of fluctuating on it where I'm like 4.25, 4.5. I did love the issue, so I'm just going to go 4.5 on it. I'm curious to see how this thing gets topped. Just because the last issue, it can't just be a beat 'em up and that's it. There's got to be something else that happens to it. I'm really excited for this last issue. We've had 4 great issues of this character. So I'm hoping that I'm sure they stick the landing on it, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Valiant's new superhero of today is Dr. Tomorrow.
True.
I liked it. So
what did you give it?
A 4.5.
4.5. All right.
Yep. I thought solid story. Art that matched it. Flowed well. The pacing was great. Even though it was a slower issue and there wasn't the action, I still felt like it paced well. And I felt like we got a little deeper understanding of the character. And 4.5, yeah, like I say, I think Dr. Tomorrow hopefully is around for a while. And we get to see some more of him. And I hope, maybe that last page of Free Comic Book was to advertise him a little bit. But we will wait and see, not patiently.
Yeah. I am not going to be patient about waiting for the next issue of Dr. Tomorrow. I need that now. Somebody put it in my hands. Where can I buy it?
Right.
I'll take it in my email if I can get it too.
Yeah.
And we are hoping that we can celebrate Dr. Tomorrow number 5 when it's all said and done. Yeah. So definitely hoping for that.
Great.
I know we had Alejandro on before the book came out. We got to see preview pages, so we couldn't talk a lot about it. But he did say he'd come back when it's all said and done, and that would be fun to get him on to talk about these little and to see what little nuggets of continuity, because he threw a lot in there. But what else was there? Was there stuff that went over the head really quick that you didn't see? So I would like to get in there and see.
My goal will be to just twist his arm until he writes another Valiant book.
Bring it on. Yep.
I would love to see him write more. Or, well, they already just hired another senior editor. I was going to say bring him back as an editor, but I think that they've got the editors
Get him on
covered.
another story before Robert takes him over at Oni Press.
Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. He's going to poach.
Fingers crossed on that one too. I really hope that we get more from Alejandro. He did such a phenomenal job. Scott in the chat gave it, I believe, where did he put that?
A 10.
A 10? No, he gave it a 4.25.
Well, we don't do those type of numbers here. Come on.
Sorry. You know,
there it is. 4.25 from Scott.
Yeah.
So I think we've got good scores all around for this book. I am blown away by how much I love this book. That's why I gave it a 5, because it's, to me, the 5 comes from that reading experience that can't wait to turn every page and never disappointed and get to the end.
I would say that's what a good origin story does too. Like, you know what I mean? It gives you that, like, that feeling, that excitement. So that's nothing about a solid origin story should give you those feelings. So
yeah, I think that this is a great origin story. I cannot wait to see more, honestly.
Yeah. I'm excited to read it all when it's together.
Oh yeah,
that's what I was just going to say. Scott's mentioning wanting to pre-order the trade. Definitely something I would recommend. If you have not been reading Dr. Tomorrow, if you haven't been getting the single issues, or even if you have been getting the single issues, to be honest with you, I would definitely recommend pre-ordering the trade when it's available, picking that up, and that's going to be a great way to read this story. I know that I'm going to want to go back and read the whole thing when issue 5 drops, and I'm sure that I'll want to read this again in the future. We still have yet to see how it ends, and that's going to determine overall what the quality is, I think. But so far, to me, this is setting itself up to be another one of those high watermarks of Valiant quality. We have things like the Valiant, like Secret Weapons. There are some of those books that are just untouchable and are just, the things that you always point to say, like, if you want to read a Valiant book and you want to know that it's going to be amazing and you're going to love it, there's a few books that everybody can point to. And I think that this is going to be one of them.
Yep. Very new reader friendly, I thought.
Very much so.
Yes. So
Very
new
much
reader
so.
friendly. And it's so great for those of us who've been around and read everything, that it gives us nods to continuity. It makes jokes about Solar not being in the current universe. I think that this book has something to offer to any reader, whether you're a brand new Valiant fan, a casual Valiant fan, or a diehard like us.
And looking at things that are coming that talked about trade, Ride book number 1 comes out next Wednesday. The following week is the 12th, Bloodshot number 7, fully loaded. August 19th, Ride number 6. Then we'll get back, close out August with Dr. Tomorrow number 5. So August, we're getting 3 solid books and a trade. And I think they're 4 books that we've all enjoyed. So I am pleased. They're only 3, but that's 3 I'll go with. So that's legit. Let's rock and roll with those 3.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. I'm down. I am on board.
But too bad next episode will only be the big 170, because 169 has been fun, guys.
169 has been good.
Yep.
But how great will 269 be, though? Huh? Come on.
Double the 69. Yes.
I just want to say I have enjoyed 169ing with you guys.
Oh, thanks, man. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I need to get the taste out of my mouth. Guys, we're punny.
It's like
and
in
we're
and
not
gang, okay?
It happens. But yeah, everybody get your books, get everything out there, knock it out, and make sure you're following, subscribing. If you happen to be listening to this on the podcast, make sure you're following us at the Valiant fan page of Get Valiant. Get Valiant has our own Facebook page, and right here on YouTube where we're at here. Because maybe some changes coming around the road, but we want to make sure if you're hearing this audio, you're still connected with us.
Yep.
Yeah, and definitely appreciate everybody watching, listening. We really appreciate people on both YouTube and Facebook joining us in the chat. We've had Jake Kingman, Jake Ingman, whatever, Jake Kingman, Scott Bloom, Greg, of course, hanging out with us, which we always love. And then, of course, I haven't seen everybody who's over on Facebook joining us, but obviously
Todd is with us.
Todd, and David.
Mr. Van Hook, Kevin Van Hook.
Kevin Van Hook making an appearance. Gotta love that. the creator of my absolute favorite comic book character of all time. That guy, if you couldn't tell.
You didn't do Squirrel Girl.
The Bloodshot himself.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks everybody watching, listening, and we will see you guys next time in Get Valiant number 170. Signing off. I am Eric Baumgart.
I am Josh Rathbun.
And I'm Hoosier. You know what that means.